Welcome, everyone. Welcome to one of the Wyoming free webinars. Um, Today, we are going to look into a topic I'm calling Delving into the Details of Individuals' Lives. And from my experience, this can prevent a lot of problems and improve quality of life. And we always want to thank the funders for this project. Your Wyoming State Survey Agency and CMS Region 8 said yes to this 3-year grant. We call it Implementing Culture Change Throughout Wyoming, Affecting Resident-Directed Living and Team Member Retention. And I think we are, everyone, which is very exciting on different levels. And I just want everyone to please ponder this. We are moving into a new day with our Wyoming Culture Change Coalition. And we are wanting to create a very special video, actually for legislators and other higher ups in your state, showcasing what is going on in Wyoming. And I know what's going on in some homes, but certainly not all. And so I would like to ask everyone listening to start to share with me who is doing what. And we've always wanted to kind of have some sort of clearinghouse anyway. So maybe this would help us do that, okay? And I'll ask that again at the end. You're welcome to start saying stuff in the chat box or email me separately, but either way would be helpful. So, in this day and age, I find myself only sharing easy, practical, doable, simple ideas. I hope that's okay with everyone. And I often share ideas that do not cost money to do. And have any of you ever noticed, I contend that somehow in perhaps these institutional assessment processes, we don't always get all the right details. And I'd be curious if any of you have stories. Here's a common story that I've heard many times, actually. I teach a curriculum on proactive practices to prevent falls. So I do a lot of thinking about falls. And over the years, the decades, I've kind of heard the same story. And that is sometimes a person didn't fall. They got on the floor on purpose. So you guys, you tell me there's only a few of us. Please unmute and say, in your experience, why might a person be on the floor who lives in a nursing home on purpose?
Some of them,
go ahead, Kelly.
some of them that do that I've had experience with, they said it's easier for them to get out of the bed and then just use their bed to stand up to get into their chair.
Wow. Okay. Brittany?
We actually had a guy with a Huntington's diagnosis who was a personal trainer before he came to live with us in our community. And he was getting on the floor because he was getting a gut. And he wanted to do sit-ups and push-ups. So sometimes they're getting on the floor because they want to be on the floor.
Yep, that's the point. I love hearing more current stories. Like I've heard maybe to pray. I've heard someone just likes to sit on the floor. A lot of Asian cultures sit on the floor more than others. And you just told me to do sit-ups, as well as for some people, it was easier to get on the floor first and then up into the chair. Isn't that interesting? Any others that any of you have heard? And here's my point. Yeah,
I've also worked with people where they feel they're grounded. They go to the floor because they're grounded. It doesn't move.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So this is my example. Do you suppose, have any of you found out that question before someone moved in? Those examples, do you happen to know? Did any of you find that out before they moved in?
No.
No.
There's the point. You get it? Look at your eyes, big eyes. So notice, we are not getting all the details. That is just one tiny example. And that is kind of what has driven me to prove we do not get the details that matter. And I don't mean to be poo-pooing everything we do all the time. I'm sure that many of our forms are great and our assessments are great, but it's just my general overall experience. Notice what we just determined, that we often do not get the details. So I'd love to challenge anyone listening. Wow, how could we do better at that? And I'm going to give you lots of ideas also. So that's my litmus test of how good are our assessments before someone moves in. Let's see, I looked up the word assessment. Words interest me. Evaluation or estimation of the nature, quality, or ability of someone or something. So, evaluation or estimation of the nature, quality, or ability of someone or something. I think in our business, we're always assessing a lot of ability. And some things are easier to assess than others. Maybe my ability to walk, might be easier. But what about things that are harder to assess or evaluate or see? So I'm just putting it out there. I don't know all the answers, but I want to propose that one way to do this is to really hone in on who this person is. Look at the language right there. Notice, what did I not say? We hear over and over the new admit, the new admit, the new admit. And right away, that depersonalizes the person. And maybe we don't think about, oh yeah, by the way, he was a personal trainer and he probably is going to get down on the floor to do sit-ups. Like I am too, Brittany, because I want to do everything I can to not get overweight. I don't like being overweight. Does anybody? And if I was in a wheelchair, I'd be going crazy, like moving my arms, my legs, whatever I could, just like that gentleman, to get rid of that gut, And then I've done a lot of, consulting, auditing my whole life. I've looked at a lot of assessments as a surveyor. And I realize, you guys, you can read all the details of an assessment, okay? I don't care if it's social services, activities, nursing, and you can kind of end up at the bottom going, but who is she? Have you ever noticed that? Check, check, check. Glasses, hearing aids, bingo, crafts, check, check, check. So what? We do not get to the core of a person. Who is she? And it has made me sad when you think of it that way. So I'd like each one of you to do something right now on your own, in your place, wherever you are. If you can just grab something to write on and start to write your very own care plan. Perhaps you have to move into a nursing home in 3 days. God forbid. I'm sorry to even have to say it like that, right? But most of us don't want that to happen. But what if it did? And I'll revisit it toward the end, okay? So I'd love for you to be writing your very own care plan. And I'll point some things out when we come back to it. And I think I have a prompt, but just in case I don't, I am making myself a note. Now, here's a really simple idea for me to you that I call filling in the gap. So think about how you and I would just get to know each other. Feel free to unmute. If we wanted to get to know each other better, what would we probably do?
Communicate and share ideas about each other, share information.
Yeah, keep going. Yes, how, where, when?
Telling stories, visiting, writing down, being your own storyteller.
Cool.
And asking the other person about their own story.
Yes. And how and where and when would we maybe do that, everybody, nowadays?
Online.
Online? Okay. How else?
Hopefully over coffee.
That's kind of where I'm going, right? So Kelly, your idea to talk, get to know each other, share stories, who I am, and how do normal people do it? Over coffee, over a meal. I'll even say, how about over a beer? Whatever your choice of drink or food item is. Think of neighbors. Hey, you want a beer? Hey, you want to come over for coffee? Hey, let's meet for lunch, right? So, okay, so if that's how most of us do it, that is what I propose. What if in your community, someone gets the privilege of having lunch with this new person or coffee with this new person and or with their family, and you make it as normal as possible, and you do not bring any form, and you just listen and learn and listen and learn. And maybe you would say, will you please forgive me if I write a few notes down because I don't want to forget, I can't remember everything. How about you? And I think people do forgive us for that if you need to. And if you don't, even better, right? And so here's what I propose happens and what I've seen happen. I came up with this because a friend named Kim took care of her mom in her home as long as she could. And then when mom had to move to assisted living, my friend Kim naturally wrote down everything you need to know about my mom. And I realized there it is. It wasn't bound to a form. It was telling you everything you need to know about my mom. And I just want to propose that idea. Talk to people, like maybe you're a person wants to write it all down for you, email it to you, and maybe they can't. So then you ask them to simply tell you and you will write it down. No forms. I think we're formed to death. Anyone else? We really don't need more forms, probably. So
No.
try doing your life, doing your work without a form and see what happens. And thank you, Brittany. I got to co-author a book we called Soften the Assessment Process. It's really soften the move-in process. And we say, wouldn't you rather get to know someone over coffee instead of a clipboard? So would you rather get to know someone over a clipboard or over coffee? And then I usually add, or beer, or lunch, take your pick. So now let's look at regs. I just want to point this out. Look at the word comprehensive. We're supposed to do a comprehensive assessment. We're also supposed to do a comprehensive person-centered care plan. So what does comprehensive mean? But I just thought I'd look it up for fun. Complete, including all or nearly all elements of aspects of something. So again, if we just stop thinking that as a form, but go after collecting comprehensive in a more normal way, who has a sense of what will happen, or have you ever done this and what did happen? What do you think?
And I've done with somebody with that was having a struggle with the CNAs and stuff. We started doing All About Me, and they had questions and they would ask them during cares and allow the person to say and talk to them, and it made cares and it built relationships, and it was a lot better for all involved.
Thank you, Kelly. Notice what Kelly's home used something called All About Me. There you go. Maybe that's what we should call it instead of assessment. Okay. Like we never say assessment again. We say we do a comprehensive All About Me. Isn't that great, you guys? We need new language. We need provocative language. I think that is awesome. And I've got a couple other thoughts on that to run by you guys as well. Now,
I've got a question on that.
Yeah, Chris.
We have several different departments that want to know more about the resident before they move in. So we have to do some type of form that talks about their preferences. So you can't just have one person sit down with coffee. So we have to have some way of getting that information out. That's kind of how.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
The form's got to serve some purpose, and that's the purpose for us because of all the departments that we have.
Sure.
Too.
Absolutely. I'm trusting that you guys know what to do with it or how to get it out to people, but Chris, you're making me remember a neat idea that I learned decades ago from Wyoming before I worked with y'all. I don't know if any of you knew the name Nancy DeBolt out of, I'm now forgetting where it is, Torrington. So she was a leader in the activity profession. She had a board position, and she taught an idea. She called it the clipboard in the office idea. So in the office was the clipboard with the forms. And as each of us learned things about this person, we would fill it in. Or you could have a plain piece of paper, right? So I'm kind of tapping into what you're saying, Chris. As you learn about something about this person, you put it where it needs to go. And then as I learn something else, I put it where it needs to go, kind of dovetails with your cool idea and important point. So thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe as a team, you figure out how to do that,
Right.
Great. Let's see. honoring preferences. You just brought preferences up. You know, I hate to say this, but in our history, we have asked people, when do you get up, when do you go to bed, what do you do, da 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 da. But if it's an institutional home where breakfast is at 7, right, and we get people up for breakfast, which is at 7, over the years, it's sort of like, well, that's nice that those are your preferences, but right, and no one has called that out. So again, I'm the provocative voice. I've just learned this from other people too. It's sort of like, if we can't honor the preference, maybe don't even ask, Isn't that sad to say? But more importantly, find out, and it's on us, don't you think, to change our systems to honor those preferences. And to say, hey, it's all about you. There it is again, Kelly. Our systems revolve around the people who live here. Now, another fun thing to do, you guys, is, let's see, help me. If we were in person, I would ask you to write down your morning schedule in detail. So what if we each do it in the chat box, okay? Will you please do this with me? And then after we just write a few lines, each of us, then I will guide us in what to do next, okay? You have to be detailed. What is your morning routine?
Okay, I'll go. I get up and I, of course, head for the potty, and then I grab my tea and I drink my tea as I'm feeding the dogs, and that's probably my first 5 minutes.
Awesome. Patty, you're a nurse, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
I love it how nurses, like, I don't know if it translates, but I'm not a nurse, and I'm like, I just can't say it. I can't say first to go to the bathroom. But you guys can. I just love that. It's the truth, right? Okay, so you all heard Patty's. Is anybody done? And can you get it in the chat box? I'm going to get mine done. And we're going to almost play a game, so to speak. So we heard Patty's, you got mine, we've got Kelly. Whoa, Kelly gets up at 4:50 a.m. Bathroom, shower, let the dogs out, coffee, get ready, leave house by 6:40. Poor Kelly. I'm sorry, Kelly. That's so early. I get out, I do those things I don't mention, plus the shower, black coffee, devotions, no breakfast, go outside if at all possible. Take a walk, sit in the sun. Anybody else? Brittany's still typing. Chris, are you still typing? Here we go. Here comes another one. Brittany, go potty, make coffee, get ready, wake kiddo up, get her ready, and leave for work. Okay, now guys, Brittany, you get Patty's schedule. I want you to think about it. Patty, you get mine. Oh, help me, guys. Chris, you get Kelly's, and I get yours, Chris. Can you just send yours, Chris, please? And this is what I love to do in person. We switch with someone, okay? You have no idea what you're going to get. So think about yours now and tell me, how is your new schedule going to fit your life?
What time do you get up, Carmen?
Oh, about 6.
Oh yeah, that's okay. I don't like coffee.
See?
Oh,
there we go.
and I gotta eat. You guys won't like me if I don't eat.
See? There's the point. Thank you, Patty.
Can I switch Patty's tea for coffee?
Well, first of all, I'd be giving you coffee, right, Brittany, if I knew you well. But there's the point, everyone. Isn't it good? Like, could you live with your new schedule or not? And notice, Patty, you said, what time do you get up? 6? Okay, that works for me. See, that is the point. We are happy when it matches us. We are not happy when it doesn't match us. And now think of the institutional schedule of the place where you work and whether that is fitting everyone who lives there. And maybe do that with your colleagues, you guys. Kelly, Chris, any comments on your new schedule?
Well,
Ours are pretty similar.
it is.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, we get up
See?
about the same time, leave about the same time.
There it is. See? Thank you. Okay, another neat term I've never said. If you like it, talk about it with your teams. It should be seamless living. Imagine what you just said, you guys. And you move to the nursing home and they know. They say, Patty, I know you love tea and you don't like coffee and you got to have breakfast. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes.
Amazing, guys. Oh, can I tell you something? I got to do a learning circle recently in Illinois. I was teaching all day, artifacts, etc. And we wanted to show what a learning circle looks like. And we got volunteers, 5 people. The question was, what would people need to know about you to take great care of you and give you a great life living in a nursing home? So everybody went, and I hadn't practiced this. And guess what? It almost drew me to tears to think, what if someone knew me so well that they knew what I just told you about myself? They knew that I like black coffee. They knew I want my Bible and my devotions, right? They knew, oh, and then would you like to go outside? And it drew me to tears. Just the idea that someone would know me that well. Isn't that cool? We can do that for people. Now, have any of you ever been to a funeral or read in an obituary something you did not know about someone you cared for? Has that ever happened to any of you?
Yep.
Yeah.
And notice again, there it is. How in the world is this happening? You know, I don't really have an answer, but I think it kind of makes the point. And, ooh, just for fun, what would be a better word? Let's say we didn't use assessment. I contend it's institutional now. And forgive me, I just love language, you know that, and it's fine to use it. And yes, it's in the regs. However, something I realized today is it really comes out of nursing, doesn't it? Aren't nurses, isn't their license all about whether you can assess or not, right? And notice again, nursing home brought over a lot of nursing stuff. No offense, nurses, it's not about that. Just think about it though. So given what we've all talked about so far, do any other words come to your mind than assess? What are we really doing?
Building relationship.
Yes, love that.
Getting to know
Getting
them.
to know you.
Getting to know, yes. Yes, 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 I love it. So what,
Good
I don't know.
word.
So then what do? What'd you say, Kelly?
I said that's a good word.
Which one?
Discover.
Yeah.
Discovery.
Yeah. I have happened upon it from other leaders in the movement. Of course, Lorraine Norton talks a lot about within learning, you want people to discover. We don't want to just spoon feed, right? As much as you can draw people out, make them think, experience, like just switching our schedules, right? And so that she uses the word discovery a lot. And then I realized if I wasn't going to use the word assessment, what am I doing? And I sort of glom onto that word and propose it like, what if we called it a discovery process? And you know, new words are awkward, so bear with me. Perhaps the discovery process instead of the assessment process. Or the getting to know you process, right? I don't know. What do you think? Who said something there?
It sounds legal. Discovery.
Oh, right. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, like it
I
sounds
mean, that's what you
lawyerly.
do. Yeah, that's what you do. You know, in a
Yeah.
attorney's office, you do discovery and
Okay.
At
I hadn't
Life
thought of
Care,
that.
we started trying to call it the exploring you. And that has a weird
Yeah.
semi
Yeah.
kind of stalkery
Yeah.
vibe. So then we also went with getting to know you.
Okay. Good.
Because sometimes like some of them just don't read the way you want.
Right. Right. That's the hard part with new language, right? Cool. Let's see.
we
And
could call it a GKY.
What would that be? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
getting to know you.
Because we're always so about our acronyms.
Right. Getting to know you. Kelly brought up all about me. Again, like the all about me process, the getting to know you process. I don't know. It's fun to talk about, think about. Oh, jeepers, what happened there? Here we go. I'm going to skip that poll. It had to do with some of those words, but you guys came up with even better ones. So now, if we think of this into a care plan, here is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful true story, okay? Again, Lorraine Norton, Action Packed out of Milwaukee. She's a founder kind of the household model idea. She tells the story that a man was a professional comedian living in the nursing home and still loved telling the jokes as he could, but he couldn't do it like he used to. He had dementia. So this came from the staff. They asked to learn all his jokes so they could do all the setup and stop and then give him the punchline. Oh, isn't that wonderful? And so think about this on a care plan, stuff we don't normally put. I was the professional comedian. I still enjoy telling my jokes. All team members are asked to learn his jokes. They're typed out somewhere, let's say posted or in his drawer. Set him up with the main part, give him the punchline. He always does it because he told it all his life. He knows the punchlines, right? And then this is a different idea. Imagine this joke book is in his room. And now it says, ask the next joke out of the joke book in his room when you're with him. And let's say we have a sticky note, like kind of where we are in the joke book, and we go, hey, Mr. Smith, and we ask a joke. and it speaks to the details of his life. He was a comedian. Why wouldn't we do that, right? Isn't that cool? I just love that. And it really is about who he is, all about me, getting to know me. So back to your care plan example. Have any of you written anything out on your care plan? Like could each of you just share the first thing you started to write, please?
I'm a light sleeper.
Okay. Kelly's I am a light sleeper.
Me 3.
Did you put that too, Chris? Really? Wow.
No, that's very true for me. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
What did you put?
Well, physical activity is very important to me. So some exercise and being able to move around and get out and about.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what I put too.
All right. Okay. How did you word it, Patty?
I wrote down, I want some exercise. I'm not real particular. I mean, walking is kind of painful for me. I'd rather ride a bike, but by the time I'm in a nursing home, I might not be able to. But any kind of physical activity, even if it's pushing my wheelchair outside in the sunshine, that's fine.
You bet. Absolutely. Brittany, maybe she had to step away. Jolene, can you share with us if you want? Okay, guys. So here's what I want to point out. Watch. Kelly says, I think that's something to think about. If it's your care plan, how would it read? Right? And I just want to put the idea out there. We don't have to do I care plan style, but you could. And I do believe there's power in it. And notice I didn't tell you how to write it, but Kelly happened to speak that way. I am a light sleeper. And sleep, notice sleep came up first for Kelly. It may or may not be your very most important thing, Kelly, but it did come to your mind first, right? Which I think may have some power to it. And then, Chris, I love how you framed it, that physical activity is important to me. So now that implies kind of like a priority as well, right? And it came to your mind first. And you may as well have said, you're basically saying it's important to me, right? Yeah. And then, so did you, Patty. I want some exercise every day, right? So as you think about care planning, talk about it with your teams, there's just something to consider. There's power in the voice of the person. And we're supposed to ask the person anyway. Did you know that? You know, I wish CMS had the clearest statement that said, always ask the person what their goals are. It's not quite that clear, but did you know that the residents' goals has now come up 153 times in the regs? So it's singular, the resident apostrophe S goals. And so let that guide you to ask people more. Start with those who can answer you right away, and then figure it out for those who cannot. Because if I just spit out my green beans, what did I actually tell you?
You don't like it.
Right? So always go with the power of observation from those who care and love this person, people who work with them daily, family who care, etc. And then notice it kind of flows with that example again. Tell me everything about your mom. Your kids would know physical activity is very important to my mom, you know? And then I want to show you under the resident assessment. Look at these beautiful words. A comprehensive assessment would include needs, life history, strengths, goals, preferences. Aren't those great words, you guys? There's goals again. Of course, needs. That's why they live there. Life history instead of social history. I vote for life history. How about you? Preferences. Thank you, Chris. You already brought that up. Those are in the regs now 207 times, by the way. Strengths, yes. And notice there was no mention of what word that we've always used in care planning. What has the first column usually been called on a care plan?
Oh,
First column, all these years, decades.
Problem?
Yes,
Problem.
Chris, problem. That's my
I
point.
was on
guys.
mute, sorry.
Okay. Isn't that ironic? The word isn't even in the reg. And we've used the word problem ad nauseum. And I think it's part of the problem. How about you? We frame everything as a problem. If I have an interest in going outside, or you have an interest in exercise, that is not necessarily a problem. Even my diabetes is not necessarily a problem. It's just part of who I am. You know, Point Click Care, whoever they are, they did a pretty nice job of calling that first column focus. Have you all seen that, or probably use it? Mm-hmm. So kudos to them, right? It's a neutral word, so I appreciate that. And then here comes the language that is there, that people have the right to participate in establishing the expected goals and outcomes to their plan of care. So they have the right to say what their goals are, basically, right? To participate in establishing expected goals and outcomes, etc. And so I just want to point out goals just for fun, you know. Is anybody tired of making up goals for other people? Isn't this the weirdest business ever? Would you ever make up a goal for me? Anyone making up a goal for me right now? Am I making one for you? Are you making one for your neighbor, your husband? Isn't that weird?
Well, I make them for my husband all the time.
I knew someone would say that. So it's just kind of a common sense way to go at it as well. And then watch this, you know, how many of you have had a well-intended daughter maybe say, take my mom to every activity, whether she wants to go or not, because they're actually saying it's about who really?
Them, their needs.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't mean, I'm not being rude at all. It's valid. Like, I feel guilty. So please take my mom to everything and I'll feel less guilty. I believe that's really what they're saying. And so notice right here, it becomes just a good practice to start considering quoting the person. I don't mean to say to defend against the daughter. No, not at all. But there is power in the words of the person who lives there. And then what I've learned from the culture change movement is to really like put your arm around the family member, and maybe you say, hey, daughter, your mom, she's doing okay. She's watching her shows. She doesn't want to go to anything. We can't make her. She's doing good. We talk to her all the time about what happened on her shows, you know, whatever it is. But how are you doing? You know, that's probably the crux of the matter. And then to move into asking people, what are your goals for your day? Not your activities. How do you want to spend your days? What's important to you, right? I want to stay in my room and watch my shows, and I recommend you quote them. I want to stay in my room and watch my shows. Guess what? One time as a surveyor, I read and leave me alone. Stay out of my room. And if you were the surveyor and you read in a care plan, this person won't let you in your room, what would you have to go see if you were the surveyor?
If that was true.
Exactly. And so I knock and the person says, go away. And as a surveyor, I'm like, right on. That's what we want. It's supposed to match. Your discovery process, your getting to know you process says, whoa, this person does not want anyone to bother him, right? Care plan, don't bother him, maybe only for this and that, right? And then you go and it matches. It's real life. That's always been the key in my experience, that things match. And it starts to take the pressure off of you and your team. If you keep saying, oh, we'll invite the person to group activities, no, that has nothing to do with who they are, right? And what they've told you they want, their preferences, etc. And a surveyor can't argue the fact, the daughter can't argue. Nobody can make this person do what they don't want to do, right? So there's the thing again, the residence goals. And let's see, I have been coaching people to do this through the years. And one time I asked a really bright, beautiful woman in a nursing home, what would you say your goals are for your life right now? And she actually said this, ready? Well, I've been thinking about that. First note to self, you do not know what people are thinking about now, do you? Secondly, she said, I want to help people. And because I am contracted and I can't get around that well, I can't walk, I want to use my voice to help people. I'm like, okay, Pat, I bet there's lonely people down the hall. You know what she says? Who? You know what I learned later? She was the first woman ever to get either a master's or a PhD in philosophy in the 1940s. And she became a teacher. And there it is. Isn't that cool? So imagine in getting to know her and asking what her goals are, oh, it just changes everything. And so then perhaps on the care plan, she agreed to go visit 3 people or however many people weekly or whatever, you know? And then, you know, I got to coach an MDS coordinator one time who really took this seriously. And when she was talking to the person before care conference, she started to say, what are your goals? You know, what are your goals for your diabetes? And so the way it kind of came out for her was, you know, it's not a problem, right? I have diabetes and I want to feel as good as I do now every day. Now, that's just how she happened to say it. It basically means I want to feel good, not sick, right? And then we would have approaches for her getting the exercise or whatever. And then here's another point. Now the daughter comes into care conference and says, somebody asked my mom what her goals are today. And they were so excited. Isn't that simple? And doesn't it make sense? Common sense, I think. Now, here's another fun question for each of you. What would others need to know about you to help you live, that's supposed to say, a good life? I used to say, get great care. And I'm trying to change my own language to be more focused on life and living. So I had you write your care plan. But now if you answered this question, what comes to mind? What would others need to know about you to help you live a good life? And you could just tell us, unless you would rather put in the chat box.
I have really high blood pressure and I need a diet to match that. And I have extremely bad migraines from my blood pressure.
Ay. Thank you, Kelly. Anybody else?
You would need to know that I need to see my family and my dog on a very regular basis.
And how much is very regular?
Daily, hourly.
Yep.
I'm snuggle buddy, homebody.
Yeah. How about pretty much all the time with
Yeah.
me? Yeah.
I mean, the
Unless
dog's
they can't.
right there.
Yeah,
so.
right. Exactly. Right. Anybody else? Thank you, Brittany and Kelly.
I think
Well,
for me,
yeah.
it would be around the whole sleep thing. You know, make sure that at night it's quiet enough so that I can sleep, because I really have problems once I get up going back to sleep. And
Thank
Yeah.
you.
so nice nighttime hygiene.
Yeah. Except, does anyone know what nighttime hygiene means, Chris? Except the nurses.
Lower
in
the
this room.
lights, cooler in the room.
Yeah.
Maybe a
I'm
little
just-
lavender.
Yes. But I'm poking at the
Sleepy
fun.
time.
I'm poking at the word hygiene. One day I asked my husband, I didn't ask him, I just said sleep hygiene. He goes, what? I go, sleep hygiene. What do you think that means? He goes, brush my teeth and go to bed. So I'm just putting it out there. You nurses know what that means, but nobody else does. And it's kind of interesting language, isn't it?
Yeah.
But your point is what I need for a good night's sleep.
Yep.
You all can ask people that. It's so important. Now, you guys, here's the hard part. Try to imagine people don't know this about you. Chris, it is noisy at night, and that's too bad. You just moved into this nursing home. We got work to do. We got carts to push. We got floors to buff. Too bad, lady. Brittany, we don't have dogs here. No. Dogs are not allowed. The little children, they bring a lot of germs. No. And Kelly, you know, you get what you get, honey. Everybody gets the same thing. How's it going to go for y'all?
Not well.
Yep.
No,
And that's the point. That's the
I'm
point.
gonna have behaviors.
Yeah. And see, is it fair then to call those behaviors? See, isn't this a messy cycle we all live in? How dare we call those behaviors? How dare we? Right? I even struggle with what to call it. People have said, consider it as a communication. What's the communication? This isn't working for me, right? And then we take that word behavior out of it. If any of us were locked, had dementia, and we're locked in a little neighborhood, wouldn't you be upset? Wouldn't you be trying to get out? And then we call that a behavior? No, it's not. It's a normal behavior, if anything, right? So thinking about your own routine, and if you don't get it, like think when you're traveling, you're in the hotel, you're like, oh, there's no hair dryer or whatever, there's no iron, there's no coffee, right? Think of how you do when you're out of your routine. And I don't think we should call anyone picky ever again. What do you think? Because none of us really are picky. We just have our own preferences, don't you think? The MDS, I just want to remind everyone, it means minimum, right? So should we be doing more than the MDS? I think so. Are there more preferences than the 7 that are on the MDS? We all know.
Yes.
I love to say, go beyond the MDS. Don't let the MDS box you in. You've brought up some of this. Let's see, build relationship, you said, Kelly. Daily pleasures is another way, or simple pleasures is another way to kind of get after the tea over the coffee. I like black. I don't need anything in it, etc. I think it'd be neat to ask people what their pet peeves are. How about you? Why not? What a great way to actually get to know people better and to be careful about some things, right? And then what are you passionate about? What are some passions in your heart? Oh, that's a different question than what activities you want to go to, right? What do you love? What do you hate? What else would you guys add to that? What makes you you, Remember how that saying for a while back was be beautiful. I just put it in there for fun.
Be you.
Here's the preferences again, 207 times. Did you know not knowing people's preferences comes up to immediate jeopardy in the nutrition tag? If there's decline, of course, but preferences, the word is at immediate jeopardy level and actual harm. That is amazing. And, not knowing preferences leads to problems, right? And then if we don't, and see, that's the whole point. Knowing the details of people really does prevent a lot of problems for everyone. I'd say let's care plan preferences more than problems. Also, quality of life is getting missed. Let's just be honest. There's no requirement to put it on the care plan. I want to be a voice to put it on the care plan. Ask people, what does quality of life mean to you? And just start to get at it, you guys. Maybe even consider creating a quality of life team, a quality of life coordinator, a quality of life coordination. The more we all talk about quality of life, we need nurses. I get so excited when I hear nurses talk about quality of life more than anybody else. That will turn the tide, you guys. You could also frame it, what brings meaning and purpose. That's not in the regs, but wow, does that mean a lot. And then Kelly, you came out of Eden, the 3 plagues. And Chris, and Brittany, you're in greenhouses, right? What if you ask people, how you doing with boredom? Ask out loud, how you doing with loneliness? How you doing with feelings of helplessness? Let's not ignore what we've been taught are considered the plagues of institutionalization. And then here's just some examples in my career. I got to co-author a book, and the social worker really promoted narrative care planning as well as eye care planning. So narrative means like it looks like a story right there. So here's the beginning of a care plan. And notice what comes first, the person's life history. If you're not doing that in your care plan process, I do recommend it. Don't let the first thing you come to be incontinence. You know, that is just not right. And then I won't read it all, but notice this really profound comment. I went to work as a model for 5 years. That comes up again. So I don't have time to go through the whole care plan, but you can see they chunk it up into areas. And under communication and memory, ooh, isn't this great? It says, if you would like some advice on beauty, I'd love to share my opinion, especially on how you should do your hair or what clothes look good on you. Because being a model all those years really paid off. Isn't that a hoot? And you know what it made me think of, you guys? Let's say you don't know this lady at all, and it's not in this care plan. And she comes up to you and says, that doesn't look very good on you. How are you going to feel about that?
Yeah.
Brittany, has it happened?
Oh, we've all worked with the little old lady. Oh, sweetheart, that's so unflattering. You should never wear that.
Yeah.
So and you're like, this is my favorite shirt.
Yeah. So, you know, the point is we tend to get defensive. I'm chief among us, right? But I realize, oh my gosh, if we let people know, I don't mean to even say warn, that's negative. If we let people know this is who she is, and she's beautiful, and she's offering her opinion. What if we asked for her opinion first and we didn't get offended? Isn't that neat? I just love that. And then just some other really, really powerful individualized things. Look at this. Isn't this all of us? The thing that makes me happiest is when I feel in control of the things going on around me. So give me choice and follow my directions. I like it my way. That's okay. And then it even says if I'm grouchy or don't feel like getting out of bed or going to the meal, these are signs I'm not myself. Love that. Love that. And that's just part of a narrative and eye care plan. I laugh nowadays. Isn't it funny how we ask, do you want water with ice, without ice? You know, like even that detail is amazing to me. Oh, look at this. If you perch a cockatiel on my walker, I like to exercise more. And guess what they had in the building that they could do that? I've never liked showers. We did this book called Changing the Culture of Care Planning, making it a more person-directed approach. It also comes with an eye care plan. I don't know if you guys have ever come across this, but for a while in our movement, people were putting the care plan in the voice of the person into slides, like a PowerPoint, and then they set it to a song, like a song that really depicted the person or their needs or something. And oh my gosh, with the right song, you can be drawn to tears. And then you're really introduced to this beautiful person who really needs your help. And they're a beautiful person, all equal, you know? And did you know, have any of you ever heard, we just mentioned the 3 plagues of institutionalization. Have you heard of the, excuse me, also the 7 domains of well-being defined by the Eden Alternative? So identity, wow, here's who I am. That's a lot about what we're talking about today. Security, what I need to feel security. Meaning, we just brought up meaning and purpose. Growth, wow. Who talks about growing when you're age 90? But did you know we could be and should be, because we're growing at all ages. Connectedness, that's better than saying she needs attention, don't you think? We all need connectedness. autonomy, choices, preferences, and drum roll please, joy. And if you don't, I'm sure you all agree those are cool, right? But watch this. Did you know they're in the regs? Did any of you know that?
I do.
So they land in the intent at 679. Second sentence, to create opportunities for each resident to have a meaningful life by supporting their domains of well-being. And there they are. I just want this for everyone to actually start asking people what brings you joy. Isn't that the best question ever? Let alone all the others. And just for fun, I don't know. I don't need to do it, but Kelly has experience with this. The Eden Alternative also promotes the idea of not calling it a care plan, and they call it a growth plan. They also call performance and employee performance evaluations growth plans. What do you think?
It's always room to grow.
That's right. And what a wonderful framing of who we are as people, right? We're all growing. I love it. It says so much more than a care plan or an evaluation to an employee. A friend of mine, gerontologist, says, look at these pictures, guys. These pictures, let's say, represent a perfect what?
Care plan.
Yeah, see all the care, ADL, care. There's a perfect care plan. And what's missing?
The living part.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Now, what if we somehow change this, you guys? Help me. What if, like, the care plan was just part of, let's say, the growth plan? and now, what do you want to do in your life to grow, or how do you want to spend your day? Let's talk about living every day now. The care supports the living, right? So what do you want? And let's just say someone loves to watch the birds. So the care supports the living. And now it also addresses how you're going to help me go see the birds every day. And I don't need to preach to you guys, but this is pretty powerful. Look at the language. What's it called? Independent what? Independent
Living.
and what's it called? Assisted what?
Being
And then someone needs more care. And what's it called?
Care.
Watch this. Where did the living go? Is anyone else depressed? Like me, I'm depressed, but we can change it. That is so profound to me. Do not let the living go, guys. So, personally, I don't talk about person-centered care. To me, outdated, passe. We need to scoot over to talk more about living and life. The care is part of it, right? And person-directed, we found, is just stronger language than person-centered. Person-centered is good, but resident-directed is stronger. So I'm pretty much out of time. Let me just, well, hang on. Am I out of time or not?
You like 10
Sorry.
minutes.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm okay, I think. Let's see. I don't know. One day I happened to think of this. I forgot about this. You directed care to support. You directed living. How do you like that? Let's see. I think I saw this on a billboard around here during COVID. Instead of like patient-centered care at the hospital, they started to say you-centered care. I'm like, hey, I've never heard that before. Maybe that goes with our getting to know you. Isn't that interesting? I think using different words shakes things up, don't you? I think it's worth a try. Every one of you could just use different words and see what happens. And then, I don't know why this came to mind in this topic, but I mentioned I've done a lot of audits, and one particular company in the activity profile always asks this older person, what do you wish you could have done more in your life? And guess what the number one answer was? And I think I have it right there. So I probably meant to not have it and have you guess, but have you heard a lot of people say, I wish I could have traveled?
Yep.
It tends to be a pretty popular answer. Probably family, I would say, is the other one. I wish I could have spent more time with my family. And I just realized, wow, what if we kind of made those two things really prevalent? Can we help you get with your family more? Do you need to call your family? Can I set a dinner up for you and your family, right? Family, family, family. And hey, everybody, what if we travel to Italy this month, And take a month, you guys. Don't rush. Get everyone involved, from the kitchen with a big Italian meal to maybe entertainment and music and travel and games and trivia and history, right? Take your time. I've also seen people do like walking, like having a goal to do so many steps. And as you document everyone's steps, you like, help me here, like from Wyoming to Italy is how many miles, and you translate it into steps or something. And once your goal is met, you have a big Italian dinner kind of thing. I also recommend, hang on, I have a book right here somewhere. I was just looking at it, just sec. Oh, okay. On the note of travel, I have realized that it's pretty easy to get people a big, beautiful book about wherever they wish they could have gone. Look what I got. Of all places, I got this a couple years ago. Now, I know. So here's my point. They have these beautiful books when you travel. They're always at the airport. Have you ever bought one? Like you're leaving Hawaii, but you don't really want to leave Hawaii. So you take a little with you, right?
Well,
and then, yeah, Brittany.
They're super easy to pick up at garage sales because when mom and dad pass away, they're really super easy because nobody wants a coffee table book anymore. And they're great.
Woo. Brittany and I have the same brain. I was going to say, guess where they all end up? I was going to say it at the thrift store. That's exactly where I got this. And that's my point. These are really, I think, can be meaningful to people to have something to do that is meaningful. So go get the travel books, consider themes, etc. And
can I add?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say, like, you can do like a stamp passport with those kind of things, and that's fun. And then we also did like a tasting passport, so like different foods, then they could put them in a little book.
Yes, yes, yes.
We did that all over the building, and each department was responsible to build like okay, you're going to do the leaning tower, and you're going to do the this, and you're going to do the this. And
Love
then
it.
they would walk, kind of like a poker run.
Yes. Love it, guys.
And they would walk the building.
We did a cruise ship one year. I'll tell you though, doing a different country every single day was kind of a lot. You could, but you wouldn't have to either, like again, do whatever works in today's day and age, whatever's the simplest. So in conclusion, discover the details, get to know people in normal ways over coffee, lunch. Consider asking people to write down everything about mom or yourself, or tell me and I'll write it down. Think preferences more than problems. Life history, not social history. Think outside the box of the MDS. Ask people what their goals are. Ask the families what the residents' goals are, not their own. And maybe start shifting your language a little. This month, our core value is all elders are entitled to self-determination wherever they live. We're rolling through, and I sent this out to everybody. I also link coinciding federal regs about choices and the right to choose schedules and make goals themselves, etc. And our word of the month is moving towards the word home and away from the word home like. Because what does home like actually mean?
Like weird bridge between you live in a hospital and not.
Yeah. Sometimes people say home like actually means this is not your home. It's like the opposite of what we're trying. So if you could be so kind right now to put in the chat box knowledge of this topic before and after, just for the grant, I'd appreciate it. And And if you haven't watched all 5 videos, please do so on YouTube, Wyoming. I'm trying to make you famous. And December 15th is our next learning together. We're gonna like look at practices that bring people together more, learning circles, huddles, neighborhoods, etc. And I have that big question again. What homes are implementing what culture change practices? Could any of you just toss them out real quick if you have time? Otherwise, I can let you go and you
We
can
did.
email.
We did the word of the month at Elder Council this month. They love it. And
Awesome.
then we're honoring sleep.
Yay.
And our new focus is going to be dining room.
Great. Okay. And this is Thermopolis.
Yep.
And anybody else? Otherwise, yeah, Brittany.
We are, I do not have a list because we are greenhouse and it's all of that.
Right. But it's also no one lives there yet, right?
Well, so I was just going to tell you,
Ooh.
I may not be on our next call because we
Ooh.
open on the 4th.
Yay!
Now, Brittany, say who we are for the recording. Just remind
The
everyone.
Veterans Home of Wyoming Skilled Nursing Community.
Woo! This is
Oh, that's
exciting.
awesome.
You guys have been waiting and waiting.
Oh my God.
Oh, how many people might move in on day 1?
So 3 people will move in on the 4th, and 3 people will move in on the 5th and 6th, kind of the next 3. We're going to put 6 in on the first week.
Great.
They'll move in, and then the next week we'll move in the other 6.
Great.
And then we will hold until we get our state survey.
Great. Oh, well, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to end the recording